reach out to planners all the time. Nobody wants to allow me to shadow them because they think I'm going to steal all their business information, clients, and secrets. Maybe you'll get lucky and a corporate client will find you magically and you'll book one of your biggest clients yet. But if luck is not the thing you're waiting for, I want to share some practical tips that you can actually employ to become a corporate event planner. And I'm going to base this and basically align it with my experience as a corporate event planner. For those of you who've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I started as a corporate event planner before I moved into digital marketing. So what I'm going to share is some of the steps that I took, how it aligned, and some of the takeaways that I think would be helpful, whether you're trying to land a corporate client for your event planning business or you're trying to become a corporate client, a corporate event planner in-house somewhere. These tips are so helpful. I promise. Just get your pens and papers out, or if you use any kind of electrical devices, get them out right now and take all the tips you need. One of the first things that I'm going to start with, and I know I'm going to be a little theoretical on this in that I think I try to start with more practical advice a lot of the times, but sometimes you do need to go to the book stuff. So what I'm going to say is you do need to get some level of education. If you've never done corporate events, if you're trying, especially if you're trying to work inside of a company, I say you do need to have some kind of education. Now, what type of education would you need? Well, if you're going to be planning events, you do want to have some kind of event background or project management, something where you fully understand and know what the steps are to get one thing from the beginning to the end. It's quite important. And the reason I say this is because any type of events that you're planning, they usually have so many moving parts. There's stuff just going on at all different times. If you're an event planner watching this, you already know this, right? There's always things going on, and I find not everyone is able to manage that. Not everyone works well in that kind of space or environment. So get the education, at least so you understand what you need to know. And it doesn't have to be events, right? It could also be in kind of a project management space. Now, this is especially important if you're applying for a corporate job, because some corporate jobs, especially that are hiring corporate event planners, will say must have, a degree or must have this level of experience or background. So just look those jobs up first and foremost so you understand, especially for your location, what you might need on the ground if you're at the starting point before you start competing with other applicants. Now, if you're running your own business, this is not applicable as much, because here they might be focused more on experience, which gets me to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is that you do need to gain some relevant experience. And the reason I say this is a lot of times if you're trying to go for a larger corporate client, they do want some comfort. They do want to know that you've worked with some other client, that you understand what it is like to run a large event, to run an event that's tied to a business and to a brand, especially when they're public facing where they have clients. There's so much more like accountability and liability if something goes wrong. So having the experience is quite important. Now, how I got around this, because when I entered the corporate world, I did not have that corporate planning experience. What I did have though is I had worked several different jobs in administration leading up to that, where I did different type of events, right? It wasn't exactly like my titles in those jobs was an event planner, but I was always responsible for some kind of event component, and I used that to my advantage. The other thing I did was when I started my business on the side, one of the things I did first was I sought out organizations and asked them if I could volunteer. That way I built up my portfolio and built up my experience. Now, I was very lucky in that a lot of them, once I said, I do have experience in these type of events and doing all of this, they're like, come on board. We need people like you. Thank you for offering your services. Now, if you're maybe at the place in your life, maybe you don't have the time, you don't have the space for that, I say you do need to get some. Maybe you can find someone and shadow them. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to make some other connection where you can gain that. But the minute you start going out there and people start asking about what experience do you have when you're pitching to them, you're going to see the importance of this. So I say try to get it under your belt as soon as you can. So this brings me to tip number 3, which is to build a strong portfolio. Now, once you have the experience, this piece is easier because no matter what the experience was, even if you had volunteered for that opportunity, you still can use that experience in your portfolio, right? That's the big advantage of doing that. And this is why when someone say to me, well, I don't want to volunteer volunteer my time because it's so valuable, I'll often say, well, you need to evaluate what it means to you, right? So yes, you can volunteer, you won't be getting paid, but if you don't have a portfolio right now and you're trying to attract a certain type of client, it's an opportunity to build your portfolio, and that in itself is invaluable, or at least I think it's worth the trade-off of your time. Now, that's what I did to build my portfolio when I was doing my side business, because I really wanted to be able to build and grow my business without using my main job at the time as my marketing, like my main marketing means. So if you're in the space right now where you're thinking about that, those are my recommendations. I know people say this to me all the time when I say you need to volunteer, try to shadow someone. They're like, I reach out to planners all the time. Nobody wants to allow me to shadow them because they think I'm going to steal all their business information, clients, and secrets. In that case, I say go directly to the corporate partner. That's what I did. I reached out to the hospital. I reached out to local real estate agents. I reached out to different places that I know will host an event or we're having like client focused events, and ask if I could volunteer my time, right? So it's a bit different if you just change the angle or perspective of who you're trying to target. And I hope that one gets you a ton of opportunities to build a strong portfolio, because a strong portfolio, it's important. It's what you're going to be using to attract even more clients and to get a lot of bookings or to get hired. Tip number 4 is that I really need you to be doing some networking. Now, when you're coming into a space where you're not familiar with a lot of people in the space, networking is one of the best ways to not only just expand your reach and expand your connections, but a lot of time it can lead to additional opportunities and jobs. So I did a ton of networking. I will say I was the kind of person where once I made my mind up of what I wanted to do and where I was going, I started networking a lot. So that meant I was attending different, workshops and conferences. I sought out a lot of different educational venues where I was meeting people who were in the industries or in the spaces I wanted to be in so I could connect. And I will say a lot of those connections, even the ones that didn't lead to directly to like a booked client, led to other opportunities. Because one of the things, like for example, I met a lot of vendors at some of these events who I end up working with, who were able to give my clients like significant discounts, who then I was able to give a really good impression to a client that enhanced the whole experience and for me getting hired for additional projects. So you see what I mean? It might not be a direct line, but it can help you in other ways. So definitely build that network, reach out to people. One of the best tips that I always give my clients is to actually just set a networking goal. So if you can set a goal each week or each month, I like to make it monthly, especially if you have a lot of things going on, where you can just say, okay, for this month, I'm going to try to meet or connect with 5 additional people in this area. So maybe it might be vendors, venues, florists, or just other planners, maybe some corporate people, whatever it is. Just set a goal of who you'd like to connect with and just seek them out, right? Look around, see who's in your space, in your immediate proximity, who's already in your network, or just maybe events that might be coming up, and those are your opportunities. Number 5 is that I need you to stay updated on the industry, on trends, and on your clients. Now, I say this one with a lot of caveats, and I'm going to dive into them. Here's the thing. So sometimes I'll say to someone when they're asking me about, how to book corporate clients and how to become a corporate event planner, I'll say, okay, who are the corporate companies in your area? And they pause. They literally have no idea. Now, for me, that's a huge red flag. That just means that you're not doing your homework, you're not seeking out information, you're not doing any research. And that right there will set you back behind your competition like tenfold. You need to know what's going on. You need to be in the loop. If you're trying to target corporate clients, you need to know who they are. Look around your local area to see who's in the space, who's close by, who's in your certain like proximity, and what type of businesses are they? What does their company structure look like? Do they already have event planners in-house? Do they bring event planners on? How many events are they having? Are they having really large like golf events, fundraising events? Is it just mainly small client focus events? What are those? You need to know this information when you're trying to target people so you can stay up to date on what's going on. Because one of the things you're going to do is if you're trying to have conversations where you're pitching and trying to get hired by people, whether that's for a job or just to book you to plan something, you do need to have some information about their company so that the conversations you're having are a lot more informed and more likely to lead to a booking, right? So think about that. Take the time to do the research, stay updated. Like when I pitched the hospital, who they did take me on as a volunteer, and I use this example so many times, they did take me on as a volunteer, and eventually they did hire me to plan their events. But I didn't start there. I started by doing my research to understand, okay, what type of events were the hospital hosting, right? And I realized they host a ton of fundraising events throughout the year. I realized they also had a volunteer committee, they had volunteer organization, and they also had volunteer from that organization that was just on the ground, right? So one of the things I knew was, okay, I could either try to be a part of the volunteer organization that you were just there on the event day, or I could try to go to the committee level where I was a part of making decisions and planning the event. Then when I was pitching to them, I reached out and I could easily say, okay, I notice every year you have a fundraising gala around this time and you have a golf event around this time. Do you need any support with that? Because I see that it's coming up again this year in a couple of months, right? Having that information made the conversation so much easier, and it made them actually realize, okay, this person is seriously interested because she's done her homework, she knows her business, and she seems to know a lot about what our goals are. So I would definitely recommend that you stay up to date. If you're not currently doing that, pause this video and go do it, or just watch until the end and go do it. And my final tip is that you need to market yourself and market your business. So yes, you can target corporate clients like all the tips that I've explained out here, but I will be honest and say this. Just from putting myself out there and marketing my business, once I landed a couple of corporate clients, a lot of the other clients started to find me. Yes, I still had to market myself, but they started to find me. And a lot of that came from marketing. The minute you're marketing yourself and marketing your business, you're posting on social media, you have your website, you have your Google business listing, you're keeping everything updated, you will start to attract clients because there are certain things that a clients are looking for, whether they're searching on Google or they're looking at social media platform, that will eventually lead them to you as long as your marketing channels are optimized. Now, the reason I say this is because I've had clients where a lot of their corporate clients have come this way, and I've experienced the same thing in my own business, right? Just from putting yourself out there, marketing yourself, marketing your business. So once, for example, we have their website that's completely SEO optimized, their Google business listing is optimized, we have them posting on social media, they start to attract corporate clients kind of naturally. Now they're still marketing, don't get me wrong, but the corporate clients start to reach out to them, right? Because they might see them post something that's related, or they come up in a search when they're looking for something else, and they just become the natural person to connect with. So ensure that you're marketing yourself, ensure that all your services are optimized, right? Wherever you have your marketing channel, make sure they're optimized and doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm using this word optimize a lot, but let's just break that down for a quick second before I wrap up this video. What I mean by that is, if you have a website, your website should be very focused on the type of clients you're trying to serve, the services that you offer, and all your keywords should be in place. Keywords that your potential clients are looking for. And that's the same strategy you want to apply to all your platforms. So Google business listing, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, whatever those platforms are, that's how you ensure you're optimized. So that when a client is searching and they're putting in certain keywords, they're finding you. Your business is showing up and showing up in the right places. Those are my major tips if you're trying to land corporate clients. Now, if you're on the job seeking side, because I know I get a ton of people who do this, if you're on the job seeking side, one of your biggest sources for finding information, honestly, are job posting websites. So go on some place like Indeed, search the job that you're trying to get into, like corporate jobs, corporate event planning jobs, and just look for the requirements. What are they asking for? Are they asking for certifications? Then you probably need to look into what certifications they need and how you can achieve those. Now, I did not add certifications as one of the tips for this video for a big reason. I don't think they're required, and I've booked several corporate clients and I'm not certified, right? But If you're applying into someone's company and they're requesting that, unfortunately, you do have to get it, because now you're competing with multiple applicants. And if everyone is coming in with the same skill set or the same requirements, this is another way to just ensure that you're at least making the cut. So look at what they're asking for: certifications, experience, like certain kind of knowledge or education, and ensure that you're building your background, your portfolio to meet all of that. I'm going to say this because it just needs to be said. Sometimes, yes, luck happens, because it happened to me, it happens to my clients, but sometimes you got to create your own luck. And one of the ways that you can do that is just ensuring that you're prepared, ensuring that you've optimized yourself and your business to be in the place that you want to be, to attract the opportunities that you're trying to find. Now, I hope you gained a ton of value from this. Now, if you're in the place where you're trying to attract corporate clients to your business, you don't know that if your presence is optimized, or you want to check if it is, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you a quick audit to tell you, yes, you're good to go, or here are some holes that I think you can fix, especially on your website and your Google business listing presence. Now, you can drop your comments below. If you have any comments for me on this video, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, you can always find me at www.eventcertificate.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you on the next video.